Let's be brutally honest right now. That's a big question.
I'm looking for someone who doesn't want to go to base camp, but they want to go to the very top.
Whether it's here, India, New York.
Civilization was born at happy hour.
That's what wins. That's what stands out. That's what people are interested in. That's what I want to know. The Hospopreneurs Podcast with James Henderson.
Hello and welcome to the Hospopreneurs Podcast. Jun Lee is the founder of Korean Fried Chicken QSR, Gami Chicken and Beer. Leveraging a career in sales and strategy with multinational giants, Jun rekindled an old promise to his undergraduate mates after completing his MBA to form Gami, a business that reported to earn 52 million Australian dollars in revenue across 38 locations in F23. In the episode, Jun shares the way he thinks about cuisine integration to deliver Korean food and culture to a Western consumer, along with his leadership philosophies and much more. Hello and welcome to the show, Jun.
Very nice to meet you, James.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for joining me today. I'm really excited to hear about your journey. You've had an amazing globe-trotting role in the corporate world and now you're running Gami. So I'm really, really excited to hear more about your journey.
Well, pleasure is mine and I'm happy to share whatever story I have.
Fantastic. Jun, as you know, the first question on the program is a crazy hospitality story or exceptional hospitality experience. I'd love to know what you've brought to the show today.
Right. Which one do you want to hear first? A good one or a bad one?
Oh, please, I'm open to all stories.
All right.
Let's start with a good one.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Well, I started our journey. Gami started, this is 2009, which means we went through pandemic. And in pandemic, everyone got shocked and everyone was striving to survive. And then we couldn't really open the door, especially in Victoria, because of the most of lockdown days. We were struggling and it was very stressful, not only as a brand owner, but our franchise communities and then obviously our customers were very stressed too. So it was very, the most challenging period as in customer service. And one day, out of striving, we started just writing to write some of the personal memos in our delivery shopping bag, because that was kind of the only way how we could actually communicate with customer. And then we just wanted to say thank you. And then we just wrapped up some more like a thank you donut kind of thing.
Okay. What do you mean by thank you donut?
Thank you. Actually, we made a thank you donut.
Okay. A donut that you sent out.
Donut. And so we put the donut in and the thank you note on that, along with our chicken. And that was way of we saying thank you. And then after 1 week, my franchisees were actually sending me these old photos of the post-its. There's memos on the door. There's a lot of thanking emails keep coming in from actually the communities surrounding us. As small as thank you for opening and then thank you for your thank you donut. That made me smile today. All these personal memos were coming back. And when I see those echoes that we never intended, and then we thought that, okay, we are making something good here, more than we thought it could. And also with this little gesture, there are a lot more people out there appreciating what we do. So we are not just selling chicken or frying chicken. I think we are doing something more than that. So that's the moment it was really good that we actually felt it instead of getting to know. It was a lot better experience for us. So that's the good part. That part was just a very small story. I was sitting in the one of our St. Kilda store back in days. And then I used to have the manager called Brad. He's American. And it was a bit chilly, 9 p.m., raining night. And then we only had 2 tables, so we were about to finish. That was during the weekdays. A gentleman comes in with a huge bag, very heavy Irish accent. And put in, I can't really do Irish accents, but what he said is, you know what? I ordered spicy chicken, but it was too spicy. I said, okay, but my manager back then couldn't really process himself. So you ordered spicy chicken. He said, yes. And it's too spicy. Yes. And he said, you should have told me how spicy it is. We actually have a spicy degree, so it's there. No, but I couldn't eat it. It's too spicy for me. So we were looking at each other and saying, hey, mate, do you want to have a seat? It's chilling out there. I'll grab you some beer for you. It's on the house. So I grabbed them there, have a seat. Look, I'd love to get you a free chicken, but we just turned off a lot of deep fryers. So let me just go back and have a look at our deep fryers. If that's on, I'll get you something new. So
That's not as spicy, obviously. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll get you original with the different sauces so that you can taste the different tastes.
Great. Okay.
And then he goes, okay. So he was having a beer, sitting there. And then I asked my chef, can you do the last one, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, chef. Sorry, chef. Can you please? Yeah. Okay.
So I came back with the chicken. I tended there. And then we were actually, but naturally we were staring at him because we were wondering what his reaction could be. So, and then we were doing this, two gentlemen looking at one gentleman. And then he was having it. While we were having it, in my head, it was really, really slow motion. Okay, what's going to happen? And he was having it. This is fine. So I had it all. So I sat down with him. So was your day okay? And he said, well, it wasn't really good.
Wasn't good?
Yeah, and that his day.
Oh, his day.
Not the chicken. So yeah, what happened? And he said, look, I just left my work. Oh, is that so? And then you had about spicy chicken. Yeah, wrong choice. You should order the soy gali, mate. Something sweet. So I got him talking. So he became very friendly at the end. But the moment I heard, I couldn't have your spicy chicken because it's too spicy, it actually just made me numb for about 2 minutes. I didn't know what to answer. So that's kind of hilarious moment in my head. Normally I can talk back, but that moment my brain stopped.
Yeah.
I don't think I can explain.
It doesn't really compute, does it? He's ordered spicy. It's too spicy. But you've obviously got this warning as to the level of spiciness, a description of the spiciness, but sometimes, customers, sometimes we just have to discard it as customers, right? It could be, right? There could all sorts of things happen in that space. But I appreciate you sharing those two stories. Obviously, very positive story about the thank you donuts and those sorts of messages that came back. And then the second one there about the too spicy chicken. I'd love to know just a little bit more on the donut story. What was it that really drove your decision to send the donut and thank you letter as well? If it wasn't for something else, obviously you got all these thank you letters and you mightn't have been expecting that. But if it was a purely and simply thank you, I feel like there's got to be some sort of commercial decision because it's not free to make those donuts and send them out.
True. Well, commercial decisions are always very important, obviously, because every dollar counts. And in hospitality, that's how we make the money, right? So it's not like we are selling some technology that has got a lot of value attached to it. It's really hospitality we are selling. But if you think about it, I just said it, we are actually selling our hospitality. So in a very hard time, our staff and franchisees, everybody is stressed. What we thought that our customer must be very stressed too. And they couldn't really go out. And then maybe this is apart from those video calls and, or other technology-driven communication tool, maybe they can't really see people. Maybe a delivery guy is the only actually in-person connection, right? So what we thought is, okay, well, we are selling hospitality. I think this is perfect timing to actually show our hospitality. So I thought that it could be something that foundationally we have to do, but also it's really matching with my brand decision because I want them to think of there's somebody else appreciating you too. Just simply even buying a product, there is a communication connection that is coming with you. And then I was thinking about how we can appreciate it. Okay, but thank you note is a really good way because it's handwritten, it's not like computer generated. But I thought, okay, well, how about just something sweet?
Not spicy. Not spicy.
Not spicy. Yeah. Something sweet. Easy one is donut. I mean, if I create something very Korean one, I could, but it's people's perception, right? It's people may not be thinking that because they don't know what that is, right? And I actually had that experience from our Korean hospitality when we are moving into new town. What we do is we make this rice cake and then we actually visit every neighbors and give it to them, which is good gesture. What I noticed that they welcome the visit, but they don't know what the rice cake is sometimes. Well, a lot of people to do, but a lot of people say, oh, what is it? This is rice cake. Oh, okay, it's made of rice. Yes. And cake. Yes. And then when they had that, the rice cake is very sticky. So some people liked it, some didn't. So I thought, okay, well, look, if I'm sending out something to them, I want to be a bit general.
Yes.
And donut, it's not very burdening them. If it's not really big gift, but it's something sweet. So I think people will enjoy donut a bit more than something very Korean back then.
Yes.
So we thought, okay, well, they're buying Korean product from me anyway. So there's something sweet at the end. So that's how we decided about that activity.
That kind of leads me to ask a little bit more around the cultural differences and how you have to Westernize some of the cuisine to approach the Australian palate. Can you talk me through how that process goes? How do you actually find that balance?
So I think I can share the story of how we made the potato heaven. That's how we did it anyway. Authenticity is very important, obviously. So we do that for most of our major product because I wanted to feel that that's actually Korean too, feel the cultural difference was something good, right? But also the general essence is also very important. So fried chicken, Korean fried chicken it's a fried chicken. It's got very special Korean sauces and the batter is thinner. There's a lot of characteristic to it. But at the end of the day, it's a fried chicken. So people understand it better and then they try it more because they understand it. Then they feel, oh, this is a bit different.
There's obviously a very large fried chicken brand that everyone knows
that
you're different to because it's a very different culture that it comes from, right?
Yes. So yeah. But when it comes to other Korean dishes, now is a lot more acceptable. So kimchi is a lot more acceptable. Some other our pancakes are very well known because culturally they have more access to those cultural channels. But when we started, obviously kimchi was not that popular and a lot of people didn't know what kimchi is, for example. Our potato products too. So we had to create something that can be acceptable first. Because if you don't even dare to taste, then you don't know that taste, right? Mm-hmm. So our mission was, how can we deliver something Korean, but easier for general Australian to just taste first. After that, if they like it, great. If they don't like it, it's really personal choice. So, but I want to open the door for that. So what we actually do is, okay, let's create something unique, but also very easy to just grab. So if that's potato, there's no hesitation. It's a potato, okay? If that's different sauce, yes, but they will actually taste it first, and they say, oh, this sauce is different. So I didn't want to create the potato pancake that Korean do, but something very acceptable in here first. Then on the top, I wanted to give them some our taste, for example. So we made a salsa sauce. Everybody knows salsa sauce, but we made a kimchi salsa sauce.
Right.
Something like that.
So it sounds to me like when you're coming up with these ideas or working with the team to come up with these ideas, you're starting from a place of, because there's two ways you could do it to find a middle ground. It's going from the traditional cuisine and trying to make it approachable in the market, with the demographic that you're marketing to, versus what it sounds like you might do, which is looking at an existing product or something that's already out there in the market and introducing components from the traditional cuisine.
I think our fusion, we call it light menu, are exactly the one that you just explained, that we actually think about the market first and then we bring it here. When it comes to our core product, we actually started from Korean side of it and then brought it a bit. But some actually just stayed there because, recreation is good, but sometimes having original is really good too. So we had to make the choice. This is a matter of decision-making choice, I reckon. You can actually shape anything. There's no wrong or right way. But if you are coming from here, do we keep the authenticity and keep the original taste? Well, yes, we can. Some of our menus has been staying there because we think that that's more important. Some we actually made it a bit more, taste a bit more acceptable. Some we developed from the market-driven decision. So our menus are a combination of those, not just one way or the other.
That's quite interesting. Thank you for sharing that. If we take a step back and get a little bit more lateral about it, I'd love to know why you do what you do. This is something that I ask on almost every episode. What is it that really inspires you, that makes you want to get up and do what it is that you do every day? Before we started recording, you said you didn't think that you could possibly predict you'd be selling chicken. I'd love to know a little bit more around how you make that connect with your own personal ethos or mission or the things that you want to do. I want to hear a little bit more about that.
I think there's a few components of having me selling chicken at the moment. First, I grew up in the family where it's very tuned into the business. So my family is still in action. My father is at the age of 75, but still he is in the business world. He is still leading his company. So I grew up in those environments. So to me, it was very natural of me thinking, okay, I'm going to do business later. I didn't know what that was. But my journey when I designed my career, I wanted to learn a lot. It's not a limit, but I didn't want to be just doing one thing. Like for example, if you are doing marketing, sales, or accounting, law, that has got very good meaning to it too. However, because I was growing up in my business kind of thing, how do I connect and create something more value, right? So that was in me all the time. Then I met my now colleagues, my business partners. But back in days, we are all from Monash University in Victoria. We met each other in the campus, obviously. We are the very few Koreans back in that day. So we didn't have that much of a Korean population in Melbourne. So Friday, after our part-time work, from 9 p.m. until like 3 a.m. is kind of Korean night every week. That's the only time we could actually mingle together, all together. And that weekly meeting persisted for a long time. And then I think I was in the second year of the uni. And then I think it was around 1 a.m.
Doing what at this time? Like, what did these weekly meetings look like? What was that?
Well, we were Koreans, so we drink.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as the Australians. So we drink. So we start with a drink and then sharing all the stories around it. We laugh and sometimes we get very passionate.
Yeah.
So at 1 a.m., I think at that night was the time that I go, what do we want to do after graduation? And we were international students back then. So we couldn't really think of a very creative way of picturing it. So everybody was like, I'm going to look for the job. I'm going to look for the job in this industry, that. And then we don't remember who, but somebody said, it'll be great if we do something together after graduation. And then I said, I remember I said that, but not straight after, because then we don't have any experience. So what we actually did over a lot of beers, let's give ourselves about 10 years or less. And then the latest is at 10 years, we will do something together. And then let's go out and then experience a lot and then let's do something together. So that promise has been there. Then we went into all different careers. Some of our business partner went on to the being chef path, although he graduated from computing because he found his passion there. Whereas I studied with the marketing career because I majored in the business systems, so it was quite overlapping. And the other one went into IT marketing too. The other one being the chef again. So we went to different paths. We were just sharing for each other. And when we were enjoying our corporation jobs, some of our my business partners started their journey first, along with their families, sometimes or by themselves. And then when we are close to that 10 years, somehow we started interacting. So I was in Singapore back in that time. And the two of them were here. One of them were in Korea. And then all of a sudden we were bringing each other, how you do and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden he said, well, look, you know what? Let's do something. And then when we are studying what to do, very different career paths at the moment. So I think we are finding something that we can do together first. So it's not like I had a very big inspiration that I must sell chicken.
Right. Yep.
We are just finding something. Okay, we learned a lot of stuff from our career paths. And then with that learning, what can we do together? So I was in marketing, sales, business development, plus my MBA. Other person was in marketing, then channel management, two being chefs. So, okay, well, I think we have to do something food.
With food, yep.
But because of their being chef, we didn't really think about the food production as in the factory.
Right.
So we will create something. Okay, then I was thinking, okay, if we are creating a restaurant, I don't want to just create a restaurant. I want to create a brand. And then they say, oh yeah, well, the brand is good, that it's scalable, then I want to make this. And so we added up a lot of stories. And we thought, okay, all right, we are doing food. Then what food?
Very important question to ask. How did you land on chicken?
Because Korea is very big with meat too. If you know Korean barbecues, there's pork, beef, chicken, and everything. But when I was thinking about doing business, we didn't really think of doing business in Korea. We wanted to do it in this beautiful country. And then in here, we have cultural differences too. So some culture do not eat pork. And we were thinking about, okay, well, then what is common thing? I don't want to say potato. What Korean can I bring to actually
make the market as large as possible?
Yeah. And then we said, oh, wait, hold on a minute. Everybody eats chicken. And everybody accepts chicken. And they enjoy it. Okay. We have a great Korean fried chicken. I can bring it in here, right? Because back in that day, we didn't have Korean fried chicken in Melbourne, specifically back in that time.
Can you talk me through this time that we're at there, like in that moment in your story?
I'm looking at 2009, 10. That's the era that in here there were growing number of Korean restaurants, but nobody was selling Korean fried chicken.
Right.
And then nobody knew about Korean fried chicken that much yet, unless they have experienced something in Korea for their work or something. So that time we chose the chicken. All right. And in chicken products, we have a great Korean fried chicken. And we wanted to make some cultural brands. So what we thought is, okay, in Korea alone, we have about 28,000. Now it's 35,000 Korean fried chicken places in Korea as a restaurant. McDonald's, worldwide, back in that time when I was comparing the number, they had 24,000 stores worldwide. So you can see the density and popularity of this Korean fried chicken thing. And it actually performs like those shops, Korean fried chicken shops, was not acting as a restaurant. It acts like a British pub in London. You don't really just go to the pub for one occasion. After work, so with a colleague, you just go out and then to talk about something, and then you just bring the mates there. Like that's how it performs, right? Exactly the same in Korea. If you had an argument with your colleague, the way of gesture to talk it through is, do you want to have a Korean fried chicken and beer? They go, yeah. That means, I'm open to talk. And they go there and talk it through. Friends and mates too. It's just very easy that you don't need to dress up. It's just a pub around the corner kind of culture. I wanted to bring that in here to connect people. You don't need to dress. You don't need to, be a formal. You can just wear thongs. That's fine. We wanted to create that. If I can create the culture that I thought that I can attach that to the brand. That's how we started the Korean fried chicken. But then we thought, okay, do we make them as a really restaurant? Mm-hmm. But because of our other business background, we thought, okay, well, no, I'm not interested in just having a good restaurant. I want to build a system that persists. And then in the market, they are called franchising. So, now I have to study franchising.
And so that you mustn't have looked at, you might have touched on a bit in your MBA, franchise models and things, but how much did any of your partners or you understand before then?
Well, theoretical understanding were there because I learned it from MBA. And then people knew about it because we are exposed to this franchise system every day, like other brands. We thought that, we can do better and smarter. And the more we studied it, all right, I think we have to learn from them.
Right.
Okay. It's not like it looks very easy, but it can be, but there's more to it.
Tell me more about that. Tell me more about what it was that surprised you that was actually surprisingly difficult, something that was more complex than you actually initially thought, and what was it specifically?
Sure. But when you're building a system, that we have to have some objectives to it. And based on the objectives, the system looks very different, okay? Sustainability or availability-driven systems are actually looking at that. Is a sales-driven system or is a supplier-driven system? Where you are at in your business circle or maturity, that can be different. But the defining factor is objective. A lot of franchise system would like to have a consistent quality of product at the ease of operation and serving people. Okay, that's good. That's operational perspective. But what does it mean? What does it mean? Like, we understand what that is, but what does it mean in branding, right?
Right.
And also, a lot of franchise system, because they are, they have to, and with my system too, that we have to mitigate the risk too. But risk doesn't just come from a not selling market factor. It comes from operation, human beings, franchisees themselves, or franchisor themselves, all right? If franchisor is very much into their profit, then the system is working against somebody. Right? There's no system good for everybody, right?
Right.
So if somebody would like to take more, somebody has to sacrifice. It's not adversarial system, but it's just a market system that I'm only $1 and I want to take 50 cents of it. The rest of the people can't take more than 50 cents anyway, right? So how do I balance it? Like how I balance it, what does it mean in the system too? So we have to get this objective right too. Then I had to bring some of very good, I think Australian and Korean characteristic. One thing that I learned from Australia is sometimes it's not, but being fairness is very important. And that's how our franchise code of conduct, which is law, has been formed too. And that's one of the reasons why sometimes franchise system in Australia was not trusted that much, because of before the law, there has been some fraction of the system where one of the parties is dominating the system so that people got a bit suffering. So being fairness, okay, that's really good. And then, to me, Australian people, when you get to know each other, they love to help, all right? So which is really good. Koreans are very similar in that too. So we thought, okay, I want to make the system that only way I can make the money is by making my franchisee money. And the only way that my franchisee can sell their product is that to sell something very valuable. But what the value means, it's different per market, that's fine. But we will get to that. But can I create the system? So I studied the current franchise system, benchmarked a lot of them. I spoke with a lot of existing franchisees of our brand. I spoke with some of the brand too. Then I came up with some of the very early version of our franchise system that we think this is quite fair and that quite doable.
Just before you continue on there, there's so much that we could go into with that. In fact, I might actually just ask two questions on that. One is, how did you find that balance for your business between those competing interests with, you mentioned there that no system is perfect, and essentially that not that there's always someone who loses out of it, but someone has to take more or less. So there's got to be some sacrifice between each of the parties. How did you navigate finding what it was for you and your business? Talk me through that process first, and then I've got a second question after that.
Right. We have to know one thing. No system is perfect, yes. That's the very grounding foundation. And second thing is that every system you build, there's no objectively fair system. It's subjective. That's why in this part of the system, it favors them versus favors us. And then in this part, it works differently. So when we are building that we had to accept the fact that, like, look, I'm not the fairest guy on earth, can make that very naturally the fair system. However, I have an intention to, okay? That's one part. And second, what does it mean in the brand? Like, I can't really, favor all the system towards all the franchisees only.
But
sometimes brand doesn't really perform, or brands can't protect themselves. So by recognizing the difference first was the first step, A, and then I had to draw some line. All right, I drew the line. Okay, these are the core values I have to maintain. for doing that, I think I have to create a system. But having this system in, how can I deliver more for our franchisee so that they can actually sell more or they can actually have a value more? And then also, how can I close the loophole? That's very important because when you're building the system, when you design the system, it's not the system that's given, but you can design the system, then it's very easy to fall into trap that you can actually make some backdoor. Okay,
Accidentally.
Yeah. Or sometimes intentionally. Okay, but that's why we have all the disputes. So I want to close that door. Like for example, you may have another agreement for the huge rebate or something, and you can make the system around it too. I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to make sure that I don't have a backdoor and that the only way I am successful is if I make the system and the consequence I'm successful, then that system I thought that it's going to be balanced enough for everybody because I can't do other shortcut way. The only way I can buy the system is, okay, if you make $1 more, then I make maybe 5 cents more, right? In that sense, then by closing that, all of my focus is what? To make sure that happens there. Yeah.
Tell me how this is, to elaborate on this particular question, because I said there were two, but this is still on the first one. Tell me more about how that's different to other franchise models out there. For listeners that aren't familiar or are learning about, maybe they're out there building a franchise, how they can learn from the way you're doing things.
So franchise system, in nature, they protect the brand first. And then, I think that's a very natural thing. And then I agree with that too. However, when it comes to commercial agreement, other system, they don't just intentionally create the loophole. Of course, we can't really do that. But in their system, they make sure that every cost can be recouped by a franchise system. And then it doesn't really demand the more of investment from brand. Of course, they do invest. Don't get me wrong. They are not intentionally just to make the franchisee spend all the cost and that they do nothing. I don't think there's a brand like that. But, they can actually leverage their cost pretty easy through the system sometimes by their agreement. Versus, in reality, if somebody can, they chose not to. And then they can actually put more investment out of their pocket and to top it up, right? I think it's not the system difference, but the application difference, right? Sometimes you still need to have that clause in your agreement so that you are able to do that if that's necessary. But when you are doing it, but you can choose not to apply it for this occasion, for example. Yes. Then this occasion, I want to invest for my franchisee, and then I want to give them this so that they benefit. So is the system making that happen, possible? A, and the second is that are they doing that, or are they occasionally doing that? So people have to look at the application of the system, how they apply, and that system itself. Is it really just very tied up, closed loop, and then you can't really go anywhere, but you have to do what you are told? That's something that you have to think of.
In essence, it actually makes me think as well, in essence, to have that flexibility, funnily enough, allows for hospitality. It's this generosity from the brand to be able to deliver for the franchise owner that you're actually assisting, which I think is quite interesting to sort of take that away from your comments there. So thank you for sharing that.
No worries.
The other question that I have is, in that evolution, because we've talked about you starting the business and it's a great story. I'm interested in the bridging that little gap there where we kind of crossed from the idea and starting to build the idea, and then you started talking about feedback that you were getting from the people running each of the businesses. Tell me more about the process in launching the brand as well. How did you actually launch the business? How did you decide that was going to be best as well? And you've obviously got a few business partners, like 2 chefs and another person from a commercial background. Talk me through how you navigate with multiple business partners and launching a brand in the food market.
Well, I'm not really sure how other people answer that question, but I'll be just very, very bluntly honest, right?
Please. That's the only thing I ask. Please be honest.
There's no metrics for it, to be honest, that I believe. Well, somebody may have a great idea and strategize it and then make the plan on every single thing. and get it that through and make it successful. Yes, that can be one of the way, but that's not the only way, right? So to me, honestly, what we were doing is that, okay, we'll think hard enough to make the decision on direction, but core is not the brilliant idea and the plan. We'll listen more, we'll read more, we'll talk more. Then the essence is once we plan, we'll make it happen. Okay? So what we decided to is, my belief is this, there's no such a great plan, but you can have ordinary plan and then make them great. Okay? If you work very hard on it, and then if you do best of that, and then that ordinary plan can be great plan because you are making it happen, right?
What's the difference there? Working hard?
No, I think it's execution.
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 How you execute, or the enthusiasm or passion behind the execution?
Execution in every single sense. So how you do it, but you have to get it done. If you can get it done smart, that's even better. All right? But the very core truth is you have to get it done. Okay. If you don't get it done, you can plan the world's best strategy ever, but halfway through, you didn't get it done. So execution has to be get it done. So I always tell my team and my business partners, I always say, you know what? Make it happen. Get it done. All right? Just plan that got done is way better plan than world best analyst and the consultant made that plan, not executed. Okay? This is a better plan because we got it done. So when we made brand launching, we put every single experience we had as a marketer and channel. We made all the supply chains, brand logo, starting from very small brand logo, even what does it mean? Like it's not just a nice letter. Do we have a meaning to it? And does it align with what we want to do? It may change along the way. Business always change, right? So it can be, but at least we have to start somewhere. And then when you're doing logo, even though our logo Gami with our lovely X shape is pointing right because we want to progress every time. We are still in the X shape because we are not grown up chickens yet. All right, we are starting. So we would like to have a potential, but we have to remind ourselves that we have to learn from others too because we are still in the shape of the egg. And plus, it's yellow. I want to be successful. It's a golden egg. Why not? Right? Nesting by what? We said chicken and beer. Now we are saying the Korean chicken, which means it's nesting on that, but it's meaning to it. I'm not going to sell some chicken. I'm going to sell Korean chicken. I'm not going to sell Japanese chicken because it's Korean. And I'm not going to sell beef, but I do a bit. It's variation. But major is chicken. Okay. So even in small activities like that, we have to very focus and get it done. Then, okay, how can we actually do what I said in here into business? What menu do we need? To sell that menu, what kind of training do we need? How can we be attractive to franchisees? Because they are investing huge savings. We have to be attractive first. How do we make it happen? And so all those kind of things. And then even when you're eating something, you're not eating something by yourself. For example, I always make this example to my franchisees. If you're having a very white rice on this brown table or on very, very blue table, when you have it, you may feel a bit different because you don't just taste it. You taste it with your eyes too. So how do we create the atmosphere that is matching your food, right? You don't want to have a Korean barbecue in a very metallic, industrial feeling, rusty kind of feeling. You may have a drink in there, but you're not going to have the meal there, right? So that is part of branding too. So how do we engrave that too? How do we make it happen in the right way? So that's the branching journey. But if you think about it, yes, there's a lot to it, but there's no a particular journey to guarantee success. So that we just plan according to what we decide. Then what we have to do is we have to just make that plan successful, which means we have to get it done. So that's the journey we had. So that's how we were able to change some courses based on what we see from the market. What market always changes, so we have to copy that too. Without having this kind of our culture, I think we would have had very difficult time. We had difficult time, but we were able to get it through.
Yeah. Another question that I've thought of while you're explaining that as well, and I'd like to ask a little bit more about the franchisees afterwards. But a question that I have is around I thought of it as like white space, and I'll explain that. What my question is how do you know where to step when you don't have data, you don't have information in that world, in that area? Maybe you have capabilities in that area, but you don't know where you should actually be moving. For example, new menu items, doing R&D for other things, or opening new venues. A lot of question that I have that I've asked a few times, not to you in other interviews, is how people decide in whether it's QSR or even just an on-premise venue, how they decide what sort of foot traffic they might get in that area. I'm interested to know how you decide these sorts of very complicated things with the data that you have available.
If I don't have a data and I have to make a decision, if that's complicated, I always start from something simple because that's something I can control, right? And if I don't have a data and I have to do something, the first thing I do is I make the data first. It's a very simple thing. I make the data. How? By having consultation or by go out and research it. That time will be very, very valuable time that I learned from my past corporations at work that saves huge time, a huge resources, monetary values. You have to make the data first if you don't have one. Or if you think that you're lacking data, then you have to supplement those data by making data, right? But making data doesn't mean that I go to the fortune teller and then make the data there.
Yeah.
Of course, the data has relatives and then you have to really, in Korean phrase, we say, you have to sell your foot, which means you have to go around, buy your foot.
Sell your foot.
Experience that.
Okay.
Yeah, our expression is very funny that we say we have to sell our foot, which means you have to go around by yourself and you have to experience that. You have to really walk around. So we did that. If location-wise, if I don't have a data and I don't know where to go, first thing I do is make the data. But by how? Sometimes I go out and then have a look at the actual town and the street and then sit down there and count everything. That's one way, and that's a very good qualitative way, okay? But we start with the data first and then, is there any data available before I even make one? Can I buy it? Or can I listen to some expert? Can I listen to local? Can I have a consultation? All of these channels available out there in modern commercial world. Access it and then make your data and then bring that into your plan. Does it fit or not? Then you make the decision on it. So that's how I did. Even in launching the new menu. Is it going to work? I don't know. Where do I start? Well, it has to be tasty first. To whom? To me first. Why? I'm selling it. I can't sell something it's not tasty to me. So that's the first thing. If I'm not confident, I can't sell, right? So it has to taste me for me first. Then to whom? To my customers. Existing one or new one? What does it mean? Existing means this. Okay, well, let's bring it down to them. Let's test. They like it. Good. New one is the one that I want to attract. Go out there and then taste. They taste good and then they like it. Good. Right, I'm ticking off my boxes. So which means my data is refining.
Growing.
And growing. Then we bring it back and let's do this menu. But at what price? Okay, I don't have a price point. Let's make the data.
Very good.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was a very insightful answer. I really appreciate the detail that you've provided there too. I'd love to know, I'm going to sort of progress us into the latter end of the episode because we've had an amazing chat and I've hardly even looked at any of my questions today. It's really flowed quite nicely in my opinion. Hopefully listeners out there are enjoying it as well. I'd love to know what you're reading at the moment. What is it that you're learning about or exploring? Just before the episode, we had a chat about a book you were reading. Doesn't necessarily have to be that one, but I'd love to know where your attention is to whether, it's not necessarily overcome a specific objective, but I'd like to know, as someone who leads your business, where your attention is to learn and grow.
So the market that we are in at the moment is combination of all the experiences that we had, but in a bad way. Okay.
Okay.
So markets are changing, but it's changing because of economic situation. But I don't think that's entirely true. That's motivation to change. So because of those factors, like dispensable income is going down, because of the interest rate, because of the inflation. Yes, that's really big thing, and that affects everything in the market. Oil price is going up and down, but it's mainly up, right? Service fee is going up. Like a vendor is pricing up every quarter. Like, it's very challenging time. But as a brand owner, if you have a retail shop, it's extremely hard to price up. Once you price up, you lose customers straight away. So you have to story to it. You have to have a story to it. Otherwise, people would understand. Even you have a story to it, some people wouldn't understand. Mm-hmm. So that's really big, but it's not the only one. I think there's a more trend coming from people's generational change or their experience that they've been through for the last 5 to 6 years. And that changes their behavior. Like they do something they didn't, or they don't do something they did. It's constantly society changing, but this time it's all mingled together because by being forced of this very strong economic downturn drive, I will say. So when people are changing their behavior, all of a sudden, oh my God, I don't understand my customer anymore because it's changing. Somebody got very good luck, but now even not by studying them, somebody got selected by the customers because they've been doing something that they like. They may realize it or they may not, right? So as a brand owner, can I understand all of this? No. Do I have a team for it? We have a very small team. The corporation I used to work where research and development people are like thousands, right? So I don't have a luxury of having all this industry insight. Then I have to focus. So my reading in here is I think we are in the tremendous hard time with tremendous opportunity. That's how I read. It's harsher though. If you succeed in changing yourself, I think success will be way better than normally you have. But if you fail to change, I reckon the future will be very gloomy. So to me, my reading is this. Okay, well, it gets me into the status of me being at the, in front of a really big game. Or I have an Air Force background. So before you go on to the mission, then you have this nervousness within yourself, but you are also excited too. I'm in that status at the moment. And then I do what I do. Okay, well, look, let's focus. Do I have a data? I don't. Let's make it. But I don't have a luxury of making it for a year. I have to make it really now. So I have to understand my data will be limited, but I have to make the plan out of the limited data. Good. Let's do what I can do. Let's make the plan. And again, let's do what I do. Let's make that plan work. That plan may not be the best because I have a limited data, limited time, limited resources. But if I plan it, let's make that as my Bible. I just do it, all right? So I capture some trend of the different behavior of different quantiles or sometimes different groups or targeted groups or targeted audience, I call it. All right, let's capture those characteristics. Let's develop something because at the end of the day, I sell food. So the way that I'm going to get through my market in this big changing ocean is buy food. I have to sell my food. So I have to develop my new food. That's the only way, right? I can't really sell the exact same menu and then expecting the change. It's not going to happen. So we decided to bring new menus. We decided to go into a slightly different market, but still chicken, because Korean chicken. Then we planned around the way how we could execute it by pursuing that path and capturing those market changes we experience. Now, the trends are different. Younger generations are upgrading themselves that I noticed by cutting the frequency of going out, but I want to have a better food. Okay, that happens. Oh my God, I didn't realize it. I have to capture that. People that have a more balanced food. People been talking about it, but didn't apply it in their purchase. Now they do. Okay, well, let's capture that. People are in this cultural food more than just very general food sometimes. Whereas people would like to have more general food than this in some menus. Okay, let's capture that. Then let's make our version of it. And let's go.
Which sort of links back to what you were saying at the beginning around starting with the market and then bringing in the cultural aspect or the authentic cuisine into what the market wants first, which is quite interesting. Some people might approach it the other direction and you might agree, disagree. Some people, listeners out there might be like, oh yeah, that's how we do it, or no, I would never do that, right? So very interesting to hear the way that you do it. Can you tell me more on that answer, where it is that you look to find those answers to the questions that you have? Are you reading books? Is it a combination of a whole bunch of different things? Are there places that you look to try to find those sorts of answers for you and your business?
Everywhere. Everything is possible. Not possible, it's powerful if you think about it. If I can read and I can find those readings connected to where I am and the problems or even solutions or best practices or benchmarking, I'll read everything. And also very powerful thing is we have to hear. That can be from our internal team, seriously. Well, for our franchisees, I hear from them all the time. Not that I adapt everything from them, but I hear from them first, and then we try to process things or digest things. So hear from them, hear from my team, hear from other industry leaders, hear from other franchise brand owners. Try to make some time for that. Sometimes I don't mind begging sometimes, but look, I have to do something. Go there, please meet me, please. All right, and then they share some of them because they appreciate my effort. Thank you so much, right? I hear everything, I read everything, we brainstorm all the time. And then there's certain things making sense, okay? Then we have to capture them. We have to write down. And then we have to choose, because we can't really do everything. And we choose. Then we do, okay, can we do this? Yes, we can. Is that something we must do? Yes, it is. Is it something we will do and must do, but not very urgent? So we prioritize it, and then important parts that I'm changing from this year is delegation was something very hard in a very small organization, which is us. But in that, I think that there's something to delegate too. So that's what I learned from our operation and then our experience of management team. So now, okay, let's choose it, delegate it, and then I limit my role to be, okay, I delegate it to you, you proceed it, but where can I help? Is there something that you can't really push it through here? I'll meet that person that moves through. Is there something that you can resource? Okay, I'll find the resources for you. I'll do that. So I'm changing constantly my role at the moment to do this. It was very hard for me to change because we are a very relatively small team, and sometimes we can just save some time by just me doing it.
Yeah, do it yourself. Something, an analogy that's commonly used is like letting go of the wheel. But I think it's come up on the show a few times over the years anyway around this like sort of slowly letting go, and then you're sort of adjusting it to make sure that it's still on the path that you want. Especially with a franchise model, it must be difficult giving autonomy to your franchisees as well. I would like to ask one question on the franchisees before we continue on right to the end. In the terms of the franchise world, you're a small business and you said you're a small team. How do you attract people to join as new owners of the franchises?
Well, we had many good lucks to start with, to actually say this, because we try to have a great plan. But as I told you earlier, no plan is perfect. And then sometimes it's ordinary truth, sometimes, right? So when I speak with the franchisee candidates, the first thing I'm observing them. But the way I'd like to present ourselves is just being very, very honest. It's very hard, but sometimes you have to be very, very honest. Like sometimes you have to say that you may lose money too. That's simple, right? But it's true, right? Well, I'd like to say like you will earn the world by doing my business. But well, look, in fact, it's not true. You can be, but you may not. So what I do is having very honest communication and also understanding where they're coming from. Of course, sometimes I really need to cross the line, right? Okay, sorry, I can't do that, right? Mm-hmm. But by hearing what they want, and I say, I think my system can help you in here and here and here. But obviously, there's a good part of it. There's some challenges in here. You have to know first. Then you have to study more. please study other brands too, because there are some good ones too, right? So please do that and let's meet again. So having this very good, honest one, sometimes I analyze something for them too. Well, to be honest, that brand is better than me. Well, look, in your situation, it's not like they're superior system than us, but in your situation, that system suits you better. Then I tell them, mate, I think that system suits you better in your situation. So I think you better to speak with them. I don't know. Maybe, well, you want to share your story in this angle to them so that they understand yours is matching theirs a lot better. So I even give them tips. So then, because it's commercial, but not very commercial, I think people value my story and advice a bit more. And then they come to me and say, hey, can we do this? Can you do that? Something I can't. Something I can. Well, doesn't mean you require it. If not, then you can study more. That's fine. Like my door is open. I don't want to just sell for the sake of sell. So take your time. So my growth has been steady and cumulative rather than very fast and one go. And I want that too, because I want them to understand my system better and then to understand the fact that I don't have any loop at the back door. Well, loophole maybe, because it's not perfect, but no back door. And I want them to make sure that, hey, I understand my system. Please understand me. You are not just on my team. We are in the same boat. Okay? The only way I can go there is by working with you. And then if you don't have resources and then if you don't have a nutrition that you can't really roll, we can't go anywhere. But if you study more of my system, then you will understand, right? In that way, I think people really appreciate it. And then once they actually experience what I said is true, even when they are performing just okay, or they can see future but still struggling, but sometimes they actually come back to me saying, can I have another store of Gami? I say, mate, I think your first store is not up there yet. I think we have to push it more. I said, no, I really want to do the second one too. And then they have plan around it. Okay, well, why are you doing this? Because in my experience, you did exactly what you said. Because home friends has told me, Jun, actually, I didn't trust you when you said it. But during the pandemic, you did exactly what you said. Now I trust you. I want to buy more of Gami. I want to change my portfolio. Are you sure? I'm sure. This particular franchisee bought 2 more stores from me because he saw me doing exactly what I said. So I think that's very slow approach. I don't have great marketing and sales tips saying that I can be successful in every meeting I have, or I can sell more stores, like 20 stores in one year. There are a lot of brands say that I'm going to have 100 stores next year, like 50 stores next year. Good on that. I don't know how to do it. I don't. But well, yes, we can do 10, 20 stores more. But the expansion is coming when I'm approaching in a very honest, transparent way. Sometimes it's bitter. Don't get me wrong. It's not always sweet. But I can't forget how sweet it was when it was good, right? So I have to do it again. Yeah. That's how I attract people. But I don't think this is attraction. I think this is how I persuade people.
With honesty
with
transparency.
Yeah, transparency. Yeah.
Jun, I'd love to know ultimately what success looks like for you and your business.
I don't have them very dreamy, the picture or blueprints that people may say, I want to get there and that this is what I want to do. I think my dream of my brand is quite simple, that I want to persist creating a system where it can bring more sales by reducing more cost so that my franchisees, along with me, because I don't want to exclude it there, is enjoying the commercial benefits, which can be good profits and good business. And I want them to come back to me and buy more, all right? And then I grow with them again. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to invite somebody new. It's always welcome because I learn from them all the time too. But by having very healthy system, I think I want to grow very well. Somebody will say organically, but grow more. At the end of the day, I want to have a conversation with my franchisees. Oh, you know that time, remember your store performance was huddling and then we had a lot of this passionate talk and stuff. And now finally, you have like a 3-4 stores with me and then we laugh about it. Like, I want to build that because when I build this, then my brand will not be just my brand. I think it's brand of itself and then self-growing because a lot more owner to it. I'm brand owner, but I don't want to be a brand owner. I want to be a brand owner with brand owners, all right? And then at the end of the day, we get together and then we grow together. I think that then my brand will persist and grow way more for longer period of time rather than you see all the expansion, all of a sudden 150 stores and then all of a sudden, oh my God, where did it go?
And then trying to wrangle in how to control everything.
Yeah.
So much more difficult,
Yeah.
I think. That's
Yeah.
my opinion, but I've not done it. But I get the impression that it would be very hard to try to rein in a bunch of different problems than growing organically,
Yes.
as you've described.
So even the commercial arrangements and the system, like, my brand doesn't need to buy 100% from me. But if you think about it, all the brands, you have to buy 100% from them. Which product and which not for me. That was decision point for me too, because I have to keep up my revenue. And that's very hard to do as a business person. But when you make that decision and build up a system around that, okay, that makes sense. Okay, you save the cost by buying from that directly, not through me, right? So something like that. But if somebody's having a hard time, like I don't just say, oh, you solve it. Like, okay, let's just sit down, let's analyze. But eventually, okay, here's my helps. With my help, can we do this, right? So I think having those kind of channel and then always directly well open for those channels. Like for example, if my franchise call me, not December, January this year, I regret to say that, but I want you early November. If somebody call me, if I miss their call, within 24 hours, we have a phone conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So directly having the communication channel with the franchise, they can call me anytime and they can expect my call back and then discuss what if that's severe. I just fly over there and sit down with them. This kind of thing is making a difference in operation too. That's one of the answers that I can give you.
Appreciate that,
Yeah.
John. Just have one last question for you today, and that's who would you like to hear on the show?
In the world of possibility, actually I would like to hear some of the brand owner who are working with a private equity.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is what I do in the world of private equity, I do things that they wouldn't allow. I can do that because it's private fund, private company. So I do that. I'm okay with that. But my background within the corporation, if I'm doing what I do now, in some decisions, I know my corporations will ask me 100 questions and then still saying no, all right? I would like to hear from those good, thriving, good brands owners who are working with the private equity, how different it can be when they're making decision of helping franchisees and doing this and creating this system, because eventually they pursue the profit of it more than the private companies. But they have more fun. They may have a different means to achieve the same thing in different way. So it will be very interesting to hear from them. Well, yes, we thrive profit, but because we have funds, we do it this way so that we can still have this, but impact is pretty similar. It can be, or it may not. So it will be very interesting to hear from them.
Thank you so much for joining me on the program today, John. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.
This program was produced by H Media. We'll see you soon.